Hey everybody, Jeff Joyner here. And today I'm going to tell you about where I was on 9/11 and what happened to me after that and how that day, in a very unusual way, changed my life. And so, most people who were alive and, old enough to remember exactly where they were on 9/11 when the towers fell. I was in Detroit, Michigan, actually Novi, Michigan, a suburb north of Detroit. And I was up there for my job. I was at a trade show, and we're setting up for the show. And this the morning, my wife calls and says, a plane just flew into one of the twin towers in New York City. And I said, oh my gosh, was it an accident? She said, no, they're talking about it being a terrorist strike. Oh my gosh, unbelievable, right? And then just a few minutes later, another plane flew into the other tower. It is obviously a terrorist strike, right? And one of the darkest, saddest days in American history. Unbelievably sad. And I've met people since then who lost family members that were in the tower, lost family members that were first responders that day. Just a horribly sad day that I think will always be remembered, and the bravery of those people honored. And, just a horrible attack on our country and our freedoms and what we stand for. And but we were, oh my gosh, what do we do? Well, this trade show was still going on. Should we keep doing it? Well, I guess we should. We paid for these booths for our company, and but it's just kind of quiet and muted and sad, just like probably wherever you were that day. But that night, I was scheduled to be the guest speaker at a conference down the road in Farmington Hills. And it was going to be for, I run a company. I was up there for the trade show for my job, but I, on the side, run a company where I teach people how to start small businesses and add an income stream and diversify their income, sometimes double, triple their income in their spare time. And so I was speaking at a meeting for that scheduled at 8 o'clock that night. Well, what do? The planes are all grounded around the country. People are like, going home and, locking their doors. Is there going to be more attacks? And if so, maybe conference centers might be some of the targets. Who knows? A lot of fear, a lot of doubt, a lot of unknown. Like, what do we do? Well, I called up my mentor. Hey, we got this meeting scheduled. What do we do? He said, well, if we start canceling everything, then the terrorists win. He said, I say still have the meeting. Okay, so put a voicemail out to some of the people on my team that were organizing this and said, hey, we're still going to have a meeting, probably keep it shorter, but we're having the meeting. And I don't know how many people will show up, but I'm going to be there. And so put on my suit and tie, and I get there, and I think we were probably expecting around 100, 150 people. Not everybody showed up, understandably. There was like 48 people there. And it was a business meeting, but I did something I've never done before, or since, which was I opened up that meeting, with a word of prayer and just prayed for those families that were suffering, and for the people that were still in the hospital, in New York and in Washington, D.C., and people who died in Pennsylvania, because, all because of those attacks that day. And I said, and I just hope people can understand freedom in a different way than they ever have before. And so I had planned about a 90-minute presentation. I only talked for about 30 minutes about what we're doing, helping people start their own businesses. And I said, hey, we're going to wrap this up early and let you get home and be with your families. I said, I'm staying here tonight because, I think we had planned to fly home the next day, but the flights were canceled, and so we're going to rent a car and drive back to Cincinnati. But I said, hey, if anyone's interested, I said, I don't feel like going to bed. And I said, I'm going over to Denny's. And if anybody wants to join me, we're going to have a talk over there about how to have answers when the world has questions. So I went over to Denny's, and you know what? Like all 48 of those people showed up at Denny's. We ended up taking over this whole big section, and we talked. Right? It was me and a bunch of leaders, bunch of people, dreamers, winners, people that want to make a difference with their families and in this country. And we talked about, the battle that's going on in the world between good and evil, between faith and fear, between people that want things to get better and people that want to destroy, between love and hate. And we talked about that. And I just choose to be on the side of love, to be on the side of selflessness, of giving, that I choose not to live in fear, right? That I shared with my mentor, shared with me, that if we start living in fear, then the terrorists win. That I'm going to, we're going to use wisdom and exercise caution when appropriate, but I'm going to live with boldness and faith, and I'm going to go and do my best to make a difference in the world. And I'm not just going to go hide because there is evil in this world. I'm going to join the fight, right? That you can either be in the game or you can be on the sidelines. And some people are cheering on the people that are out there trying to make a difference, but I'm going to try to make a difference, and I hope you do too. And well, unbeknownst to me, there were some people there that were good friends of mine that I'd known for years. There were some people that I never met before. There's one guy there named Chris who I'd never met, and he was there kind of listening to me, and it really made sense what I was talking about. He ended up getting rolling with our program, ended up a few years later introducing me to a friend of his named Ron, a guy named Ron Reed, who's one of the best leaders now that I've ever known. I've been working with Ron and his wife Barb for probably 15 years. They become extraordinary leaders. They have a team now of like 100 people that they are leading and coaching and mentoring. They've made a ton of money in their own business, which is great, but they've helped other people make a ton of money too. And to see how they are not becoming leaders and then mentoring leaders, right? That's what leaders do. Leaders don't get followers. Leaders create other leaders. And this guy got a picture of me and Ron that we took at a conference last summer. This dude is one of my closest friends. He's one of the people I admire most in the world, that he and I are working hand in hand to make a difference. And you know what? I would have never met him if we hadn't had that dinner meeting at Denny's late at night on 9/11. And so even though that was a horrible day, a nightmare of a day, something positive came out of that for me and my family and my purpose, right? And probably has for a lot of other people too. And so that's my challenge, is that, it's one of my core beliefs that in every adversity lies the seed of an equal or greater benefit. In every bad situation, something good, equal or greater, can and will come out of it if you look for it. And if you look for those seeds and you water those seeds and you tend those seedlings, that you'll reap a harvest of amazing things. Out of bad things comes good things, right? Which means I don't want bad things to happen, but when they do, I'm on the lookout for ways to be a blessing, ways that I can help other people be a blessing. And sure enough, I end up always getting blessed as well. So that's what happened to me on 9/11. It's a terrible day, but whenever that day comes and they have the memorials, and it's very somber, and it should be, but I always think about that dinner out at Denny's and how that really changed my life and a lot of other lives too. And how, I'm glad I didn't just go hide in my hotel room that night. And I'm glad I found some people that are interested in changing the world like I am. So hopefully you found that information useful. My little 9/11 story. Have a great day. We'll catch you next time.